In today's video, I'm going to show you how to have your personal finance on point using QuickBooks Online. Now, I used to use spreadsheets to manage my personal finance, and spreadsheets are great. They're better than not keeping track of your personal finance, but the problem is it's very time consuming and it's a very manual job. By using QuickBooks Online, I will show you how you can automatically bring the feed of your bank accounts and pretty much have a view of your entire personal finance in the same spot. Using QuickBooks Online will allow you to proactively save for big ticket items like taking your dream vacation or putting a down payment on your dream home without having to scramble not knowing whether you can actually afford it or not. It will also allow you to keep track and monitor your money even if it's spread out in multiple bank accounts. If you're like me and you're always trying to get the highest interest rate from whatever bank institution that comes out on the market, this tool will allow you to track it and never lose sight of where your money is. You can also get a very accurate reading of your monthly expenses and your habits. Using QuickBooks Online, you can actually generate a report every month that will show you exactly where you're spending your money. Also, if you have multiple investments, it will be very easy to manage all of them in one place. Even if you have rental properties, you can keep track of your cash flow, you can keep track of your expenses, and it's all under one screen. You'll also be able to instantly generate your current net worth. This will allow you to see whether you're on track because it will allow you to see how your net worth grows year over year. All in all, QuickBooks Online is a great tool to manage your personal finance. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Alright, so once you logged into your QuickBooks Online, the first screen that you'll see will be the dashboard. Now again, this is just an overview of the system, and it just to show you an example on how I set up my personal finance on QuickBooks Online. There will be some things probably that you're not sure how I got to it or how I set it up. This is a little bit more time consuming and a bit more lengthy. I'm not going to go into it in this video. I will make another video that will show how to actually set it up. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview about everything that I created, and if you'd like me to assist you to do it for your own personal finances, just reach out to me and I'll try my best to help you out. So the dashboard is the first screen. It will pretty much show you your profit and loss. You can choose whether you want it for the last month, the last 30 days, this month, last year, last quarter. There's a lot of options that QuickBooks allows you to do. You can also get a quick glance of your expenses. You can also get a quick glance of all the bank accounts that you have on QuickBooks. Now, if you're like me and you like to take advantage of the different interest rates that banks are giving with their promotions, this is a great tool for you to keep track of everything. I have a lot of bank accounts that I spread my money in, and this is just a cool place that I can just view everything under one screen without having to go back and forth between different bank accounts. So this is the dashboard. If you click on banking, there's actually 3 tabs to choose from. Under the banking tab, these are actually the bank accounts that are automatically taking the feed out of my bank account and show it here. This is just easier. I don't have to create the expenses or the income. Once I get more transactions on the bank, it just shows here, and then I can put it into the right account. You also have rules. This is one of the cool features that QuickBooks allows you to do, which is time saving, and it just makes the process easier. Once you create rules, or QuickBooks will eventually suggest rules, the process itself of putting the right expense in the right account will be much faster and easier. They have also a new feature called receipts, which makes it easier if you'd like to take a screenshot or take a snapshot of a receipt that you've expensed. You can just use the mobile device and it will show up here. Next, you can view all your expenses. You can segmentize them based on the expense type or based on the supplier that you paid it for. Next will be the sales. Sales is pretty much the income that you're receiving. So again, you can get an overview, or you can ask QuickBooks to show you what income you're getting from which source. I don't really use the employees feature, because this is just, it's not a real business. This is just me managing my personal finance. Reports, this is the feature that I use the most. We'll go back to it in a second. Taxes, again, I don't really use because it's not an actual corporation, so I'm not using this feature. Mileage, I'm also not using because I can't really expense my mileage in my industry, but you're free to use this feature if it applies to you. Accounting, you can go to your chart of accounts, which is where you're setting up all your different income accounts, expenses accounts, equity, and assets. Again, this is not a full video on how to set it up, so I'm not going to go into how to actually set up if you haven't done it in the past. This will be in another video. I'm just showing you a quick overview of how QuickBooks Online can actually help you manage your personal finances. The one thing that I did want to go over before we wrap it up for today is the report section. Under reports, you can mark the reports that you would like to see. If you star them, these are my favorites: the balance sheet and the profit and loss. So again, if you're using QuickBooks Online to manage your personal finance, what you can do, you can view your income and expenses under the profit and loss report, and you can see if you're running a cash flow positive for that month, or if your expenses were more than your income, then you know that you are cash flow negative for the month. This will allow you to see how you are doing on a month-to-month basis. And the second report is the balance sheet. Balance sheet is more for a business. If you're using it as a personal finance tool, you can think of the balance sheet as your net worth. At the end of the day, you want to reach retirement with the highest net worth possible. You want to create a nest egg that will allow you to retire comfortably and achieve your long-term goals with the amount of money that will require you to do it. A good way to track if you're going in the right direction is to view your net worth on a year-over-year basis. So on the 1st of January, you can pull up your balance sheet report, which is the net worth, and then next January, you can pull up again your balance sheet, and then you can compare them and see if you made any good progress. You can predict based on your year-over-year progress of how much your net worth increases. If you're 30 years old and you would like to retire at the age of 65, you can just take the amount of money that you added to your net worth and you can multiply it by 35 if you're not predicting your income to significantly change. And this will roughly show you how much your net worth will be when you retire at age 65. I'm just going to quickly give you a quick overview of how the balance sheet looks like. I have a fairly complicated balance sheet. I have a bunch of investments and a bunch of rental properties, so it might look scary in the beginning, but try just to not get overwhelmed and just get the concept and the idea of how this will allow you to manage your own personal finances. If you start with a smaller amount of investments, your balance sheet will look much simpler. The first section is pretty much the bank accounts and the cash that I have within the bank accounts. I separated them by different accounts, and here at the bottom you see how much your total cash and cash equivalents will be, and then your investments are just under it, and then it will show you your total current assets, which is pretty much how much cash and how much investments you have physically at any given point in your bank account. Underneath it, I added my rental properties, and it just segmentize it and show you how each property out of your total net worth is. Under your assets section, you'll be able to see your liabilities and equities. Again, if you're getting a bit confused, try to not be overwhelmed. This is just an overview, and I will show on a different video how you can actually set it up, and I will also explain the difference between asset and equity when it comes to personal finance. But in my equities, pretty much I keep track of all my current investments and how much I would like to, and I can also keep track within the equities of all the things that I would like to save up for. So for example, me and my wife, we like to travel. So I set up a travel fund, and each month we take a portion off of our income and we allocate it to this travel fund. I really like the idea of being proactive with saving for for big ticket items, for expensive things, because you don't rely on your credit card to pay for them, and then you realize that you can't afford it, and now you're battling with paying credit card debt and paying a lot of interest. I like to spend money that I know that I have, and this is a good way for me to kind of keep track and understand whether I can afford this trip, or I should go for a cheaper trip, or just wait a couple more months until I can afford the actual trip that I want. Other than that, you can choose to save up for whatever you want. Each equity account represents an amount of money that you would like to save for something specific. You can also save for a new car, you can save for a down payment of a house, and everything will show here on the equity account. In the liabilities, I have all my credit cards. Again, I have a bunch of different credit cards because I like to take advantage of each credit card and use it for the features that it gives me the most amount of rewards. So I have one credit card that I use for travel, and one credit card that I use for my business expenses, and a credit card that I use for personal expenses. I can see everything here, and it just gives me a quick overview of how much I owe. Once you go all the way at the bottom, you'll see total equity and your total liabilities and equities. If you put in any rental properties or your personal home, this amount will be pretty inflated, but this doesn't mean that you actually own this money. This is just the total of your assets. Once you pay down the mortgage within 20, 25, 30 years, depends on your amortization period, and you have no more debt left on these homes, then this amount will equal this amount, and it would pretty much mean that this is how much is your current net worth. If you want an actual figure of how much your current net worth is, it is the total equity. So if you want to compare year over year and see how much progress you made with your net worth, you just go onto this feature here, and you can choose whether you want to see it based on weeks, based on months, quarters, or years. That's it for today's video. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. I will follow up this video with a bunch of other videos that explains more in specific about each and every part of this system, and I will also make a video that explains how you set it up from scratch, and I will do it with an account that is easier. Maybe let's say 2 bank accounts, 1 credit card, and 1 investment, and this will show you how the system looks like when it's not as complicated as this is. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you need any support in setting up your own QuickBooks account, let me know and I'll try to reach out to you. Thank you, and I will see you next time.